Does Deshaun have an advantage over him in this competition because he's been around for so long and played at such a high level?
I don't know that any player has an advantage. I think certainly experience helps.
We've talked a lot about this Mary Kay Cabot report. It's a bombshell report. It's taken over the internet. It's taken over everything. And I get it. I understand why. Deshaun has the inside edge over Shedeur is going to make a lot of people angry. It made me angry all throughout the day. I was angry for a couple reasons, though, Coach.
I still think that Deshaun Watson would be the starter on day one. I think I would like to see Shedeur get a crack at it, but I'm not so sure that the 2027 quarterback is on our roster right now.
Shedeur Sanders might not have been given a real shot at QB1 for the Cleveland Browns. And whether people want to admit it or not, Deshaun Watson is already sitting in the driver's seat. And yeah, that sentence alone is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. It's going to make fans angry. It's going to feel unfair. But if you really listen to what's being said around this situation, if you read between the lines, if you connect what's happening now to what already happened before, it starts to feel less like a competition and more like a setup. And that's where the tension begins, because this isn't just about talent. This isn't just about who throws the better ball in practice. This is about trust, timing, and whether this whole thing was ever truly open in the first place. Because the moment reports started leaking that Watson had the inside edge, a lot of people immediately reacted the same way. Wait, already? We're doing this now? We're deciding this before it even really starts? Now let's introduce what actually happened here. Reports started circulating that Watson is ahead, not slightly ahead, not competing neck and neck, ahead, positioned, leading. And when that kind of information comes out publicly, especially early in camp, it shapes perception instantly. It tells the locker room something, it tells the fan base something, and it definitely tells Shedeur Sanders something.
You say, we expect Shedeur Sanders to become the starter soon, and we project him to perform well enough in the Browns offense to question taking a quarterback early in the 2026 draft.
Here's the part nobody is talking about. When you publicly lean one way this early, you're not just reporting a competition, you're influencing it. Because think about it like this. If you're a young quarterback like Shedeur Sanders and you're stepping into a situation where the narrative already says someone else is in front, you're not starting from zero, you're starting from behind. And that matters more than people want to admit. This is where it gets dangerous, because we've seen this movie before. Last year, there was similar conversations about competition. Names were thrown around, it was framed as open. But when it came down to it, the outcome felt predetermined. And that's what has fans on edge right now. It's not just what's happening, it's what it reminds them of. And then you bring in the football logic, and suddenly things get even more complicated. From a coaching perspective, it actually makes sense why Watson would be ahead. He's been in the league longer, he's seen more defenses, he understands the system at a deeper level. Experience matters. That's not debatable. If you put a veteran and a younger quarterback side by side in practice, the veteran is usually going to look better early on. That's just reality.
I don't know that any player has an advantage. I think certainly experience helps. Like that's one of the strengths that Deshaun has relative to the rest of the room. I wouldn't say that in and of itself gives any player an advantage. I think both of those guys have worked really hard over the past several months, and we're pleased with how they've started our offseason programming. So we'll see how the next few months play out as all those guys, Dylan and then eventually Talon, kind of get up and running, and we'll see where the chips fall.
But here's where the frustration kicks in, because fans aren't reacting to practice, they're reacting to history. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They think performance in controlled environments tells the whole story. But fans have watched Watson look good in practice before. They've heard the same praise before. The arm talent, the way the ball spins, the smooth delivery, all of it. And then they've watched the games. And that's where the disconnect lives. Because you can't ignore the last few years. Injuries, inconsistency, moments where things just didn't click. And when people hear that he's in front again, it raises a question that nobody wants to answer directly. Is this based on what he is right now, or what people still believe he can be? Here's the part nobody is talking about. Belief can be just as powerful as performance in these decisions.
No, and that makes me feel better about the idea of there's no quarterback that could come in here with that little experience that Shedeur has and would be ahead of where Deshaun is supposed to be right now.
And that's where Shedeur Sanders comes into the picture in a very different way. Because his argument isn't based on experience. It's based on upside. It's based on growth. It's based on the idea that he hasn't hit his ceiling yet. And that's exciting. Because when you look at what he's shown, there are flashes, touch throws, deep balls, movement, playmaking instincts. He's shown he can handle pressure. He's shown he can create when things break down. And most importantly, he's shown that he can improve. That's the key word, improve. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They expect improvement to be immediate. But development takes time. It takes reps, it takes mistakes, and it takes opportunity. And that's exactly what people are worried about. Because if the decision is leaning toward Watson this early, where does that leave Sanders? Does he get real reps with the first team? Does he get a true chance to prove himself? Or is he just waiting for something to go wrong? This is where it gets dangerous, because the difference between a fair competition and a symbolic one is opportunity. If Sanders doesn't get the same chances, then the competition isn't real. It's just a process to confirm what was already decided. And that's the fear.
I'm really still excited about the coaching staff in Cleveland. I think that they have a sound structure in place there with Stefanski at the helm.
Now, to be fair, there's another side to this. Football isn't about fairness. It's about winning. Coaches aren't trying to develop narratives. They're trying to win games. And if they truly believe Watson gives them the best chance right now, then from their perspective, the decision is simple. Play the best quarterback. But here's where things get complicated again. Because what if the best quarterback right now isn't the best decision long term? That's the bigger question. Because if Sanders has the higher ceiling, if he represents the future, if he's the guy who could grow with this roster over the next few years, then delaying his development has a cost. And that cost doesn't show up immediately. It shows up later. Here's the part nobody is talking about. Choosing a veteran over a younger player isn't just about today. It's about what you're willing to sacrifice tomorrow. And that's why this situation feels so tense, because it's not just about who starts week 1. It's about the direction of the franchise. Do you lean into experience and hope it finally clicks, or do you invest in potential and accept the growing pains? This is where it gets dangerous, because there's no safe answer. If you go with Watson and it doesn't work, people will say you ignored the warning signs. If you go with Sanders and he struggles, people will say you rushed him. Either way, someone's going to be right after the fact. And that's what makes this debate so intense. Because right now, it feels like the Browns are choosing the safer path, the experienced path, the familiar path. And for some fans, that feels like going down the same road again. The same road that didn't lead where they wanted it to. And that's where the ditch analogy comes in. Because once you've seen something fail multiple times, it's hard to believe it won't happen again. It's not about predicting the future, it's about recognizing patterns. And the pattern here is what's making people uneasy. But at the same time, there's always that possibility. What if this time is different? What if Watson is actually healthy? What if the system fits better? What if the supporting cast finally clicks? That's the argument the other side is making. And it's not crazy.
In the NFL, more than one quarterback plays, and Deshaun has had, as I've said, I agree with you on the injuries. He's had trouble staying healthy.
Because in the NFL, things can change fast. But here's the reality. Hope is not a strategy. And that's why this decision matters so much. Because if Sanders really wasn't given a true shot, if this competition was tilted from the beginning, then the Browns might be missing an opportunity they can't get back. And if Watson is truly in the driver's seat, then everything rides on him proving that this time will be different. No more excuses, no more projections, just results. So now the debate shifts to you. Was Shedeur Sanders never given a real chance to win QB1? Or is this simply the reality of experience beating potential in the early stages? Because if the Browns are wrong about this, it's not just a missed call, it's a decision that could define their next few seasons.